Welcome to another episode of the Finest Hour podcast, where we celebrate the moments that define success. And today in my studio, I have a great leader. That's John Nollett of Pressmark Pressings.
Hi.
John, I really look forward to diving into your story, all the way from when you were young and got into manufacturing to where you are today. So let's have this chat. But before we do, give me an overview of the Pressmark Pressings.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Pressmark Pressings is a metal pressings manufacturer, predominantly in the automotive market. To give you an idea of some of the things we do, they're small latches the size of maybe a matchbox up to the size of this table.
Yeah.
And predominantly automotive, but we also do a lot of work in the white goods industry as well.
Yes, and you've been in the industry since very young age. That's 14 years old when you actually got your first job.
When child labour was allowed.
Yes. Was it actually?
Probably not.
But tell me why. Why did you decide at the time that at the 14 you have to find yourself a job?
At 14, I used to enjoy going to the football, and all my friends had really nice designer clothes. I didn't.
Yeah.
So I felt I had to go out and find a Saturday job, just so I could earn some money. Mm-hmm. And there was an opportunity, a local engineering company, and that's where I started. Mm-hmm. Actually working on machines, although I probably shouldn't say that, but at 14 I was working on machines.
Yeah.
And working with that company, they were talking about an issue they had with computerization. They felt that was the way they wanted to go. Mm-hmm. This was in the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And I'd been really fortunate that my father had bought me a ZX80 when I was about 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I'd found that really interesting. I learned to program and did things that other people generally weren't doing. So said,
you was hey, I can help you.
Absolutely.
At the age of 14, 15.
Yeah. And once I started talking about things that I could do, it lost a lot of people. And they were like, if you can do that, you can probably do it, because we don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, that's...
And they just let you do it.
15. I was obviously supervised. But I implemented a completely new computer system.
That's so inspiring from this young age to actually go and do it, implement a computer system. But then, rolling probably a couple of decades, you had an opportunity to become a managing director of this same very company, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd been through my apprenticeship with the company, starting from making the tea, and working through all the departments, working through the shop floor, and understanding all the processes, moving on into quality, working with the quality team. Very fortunate to be mentored by a gentleman from Ford Motor Company.
That's a pretty good mentorship.
Yeah, it was. And moved into purchase, sales, IT. So did a very well-rounded apprenticeship.
I guess so.
Really
starting early gave you a unique advantage, because by the time you took over as a managing director in 35, you've already done all these jobs, right? So you've had a really solid base for the role.
Yeah. Nobody could really pull the wool over my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I'd done that way all the way up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I did have a good grounding in the business. But it was I believe it was to do with my tenacity and wanting to solve problems, make things better, make things easier, and just drive forward. That was always what I wanted to do, no matter what job I was doing.
Yeah.
Just make it better, make it easier, make it more fulfilling.
Yes, and also come with enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Just as the guy who stepped at 14, you maintained that enthusiasm, haven't you?
Yeah. Still got it today.
Yeah.
Even at my age. Always enthusiastic about doing something new, doing something different. If you don't move forward, if you don't make change, you're never going to move forward as a business. It's as simple as that. You always have to try and improve constantly.
And that's what you did with the business plan that you put in place back when you took the company over. So you implemented first ever business plan, or it was your first ever? What was the...
when I was first made managing director in 2004, the business I was working for had never had a business plan, and I'd never done a business plan either. And
but you knew that you need one, basically.
I thought if I needed to push this company forward, I needed a plan.
Yeah. Simple things, but for years nobody.
Yeah, I'd always written things down myself of what I wanted to do and make sure I'd achieved them. But now I was in a position where, I had over 100 people working for me that also needed what they needed
direction
to do
to
get where we wanted to get.
Yeah.
So I worked with a consultant who I later went on to buy Pressmark with, and he assisted me in building that. Got my ideas out of me, understood the market research that I'd done, and we built a plan which effectively was going to double the size of the business in 5 years.
But it's not how you pitched it to the workforce. There was a different way of doing it. So how did you do it?
You can't just go out and say to people, right, we're going to double the size of the business, because they say, well, how? What are we going to do differently?
Yeah.
So it was broken down into steps. It was a 5-year plan, 15% a year, which, when you add that up over 5 years, it becomes 100%. Do the maths. So it was broken down into small chunks like that.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so what do we need to do quarterly to get there? What do we need to do monthly? What do we need to do weekly? I had a big boardroom, which we filled the walls with all the plans, had all the measures on there of what we needed to do, over the next 5 years.
It was like a military operation.
It was. It was actually called a war room, funnily enough. But yeah, that's exactly what we did. We laid down our plans, and everybody knew what they had to do.
Yeah.
From the top to the bottom, everybody played a role in doing that and achieving that.
Yes.
And it was a complete team effort. It was fantastic. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that.
So looking back on that time, it's probably quite a sense of achievement, because you actually have you tick the box every year, yeah? So you achieved what you set to achieve every year.
Absolutely. Yeah, not quite, because we started I started in 2004. We implemented the plan from 2005.
Yeah.
So if you do the maths, that finished in 2009, and obviously we had a huge crash in 2008,
Yes.
When a lot of our customers, just were hardly building anything. Some customers in construction were doing 10% of what they were doing.
Yeah.
Some other people were doing 30%, but it was really, really down. But the focus on what was really going to grow our business was the military side of our business abroad, so outside of the UK. And we did exceptionally well at that. That was one of the prime focuses.
So the business done really good, but during that time, you actually personally went through a very difficult period.
Yeah, everybody has difficult periods in their time, and they're just hurdles, and you have to get over them. But I did have a.
Shall we just say the words? What happened?
Yeah,
yes,
no problem.
Yeah,
I was diagnosed in November 2005 with cancer.
Yeah,
and that took me out of the business. From being diagnosed to being treated and operated on was literally 5 days. So it was very short term, no time to plan
anything.
Obviously, health is more important than anything, any business, and it didn't give me time to really adjust the business
to what situation. Yeah,
2 of those 5 days were a weekend.
Yeah,
so
it's insanely quick, but you've done all the groundwork.
Yeah, and that was the beauty of it. So we started that at the beginning of 2005. By the end of 2005, I'm unwell for a number of months. But everybody knew what they had to do. It was there. It was in black and white. And they followed that plan.
Yeah.
They followed that plan exactly. And they achieved it without me.
Yes.
I was only there to oversee it, to come up with the idea, the strategy. They were there to implement it, and they did a phenomenal job.
Yes.
It was only for 9 years of that, 9 months of that plan, but they did a phenomenal job, and you can't beat teamwork. Teamwork is so important, and everybody understanding what their role is in that strategy that you have in achieving that goal is so important. And that, to me, was one of my defining moments, that we came up with this plan and I was taken away from it, which wasn't in the plan, obviously.
Obviously not.
And they carried on without me, and they did a phenomenal job. But,
So
I put trust in people, and they delivered back on that, and that's, to me, was heartwarming.
It was, yeah. And then to come back actually to the company months later to see that they carried on, and you can carry again.
Yep. And we were still on target.
It was a very, very fulfilling moment for you.
Yeah, and we were ahead of target. We were doing exceptionally well. People had made other improvements as well, and it was really good. Then crash 2008 came, and it took us back, and we ended up not quite doubling the company. We were at 97%, so almost there.
And you've got the stats as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You measure everything. So we were practically there, and that's including a huge drop in 2008. So, the team did exceptionally well, and I was proud of what they'd achieved, and like I said, that was a defining moment for me. Actually, writing it down, sharing your ideas with people, getting them to share their ideas with you,
and get them to buy into the plan, because I think that's probably very. When
they're their ideas, they want to prove you wrong.
Yes,
so they're determined to make it happen.
It's a skill to actually make people believe it's their idea when this is part of the plan, right? Is that
a lot of the time it is their idea? They know what they've got to do. They just don't bring it out. It's getting them to bring it out and say what they would do and not feel difficult about that. So everybody knows what they've got to do.
It's just stepping in and doing it and delivering for.
Absolutely, it's having the confidence that you can deliver it. And that's what mentorship's all about. It's about giving people not just the skill set, but the confidence that they can do it.
Yes, because each and one of us have got those hidden skills and potential, and it's about having this potential uncovered by a good mentor and having the right opportunity. So that sounds like you really achieved that with the team back then.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I worked with that went on to much better things. People who've been senior directors in global businesses, turn over hundreds of millions of pounds. They've done exceptionally well in different areas, whether it be engineering or operations. They've done exceptionally well. And
they still remember that time with you, John. They do still reflect, you said.
I'm still good friends with a lot of those people. And they say, it was down to you. And I will say, no, it's not down to me. It was down to you. You made it happen. I just gave you the guidance. You made it happen.
Yeah. That's when the opportunity meets success. I can't remember exactly what's such a good quote. I'll need to remember. But what have you gone to do next? Because you carried on looking for opportunities. Obviously, this company we talked about is still going, and you still got connections to that. But you now... I want a pressing company. And why pressing company? Why pressings? What got you into pressings?
Well, in the last business I was in, I always wanted to buy a pressing company.
Why? How does one think, I want a pressing company?
Because that company made its own products.
Yeah.
So it made steering and suspension systems. They put a lot of pressings. And it was, to me...
Always buying a team.
Yeah, it was vertical integration. It made absolute sense that was the way to go. And in 2012, whilst I was still there, it's something that we looked at. The chap that helped me write the business plan in 2004 had been working with another guy who'd worked in pressings all of his life, and said, I understand this is, something that you're looking at. Do you want to come in with the two of us and we'll go and find somewhere to buy? So
and then you go shopping for a pressing company. How does one do that? There's many.
Well, the FD that was part of the business that helped me do my business plan in the first place. He had a lot of connections in the industry. He'd been at one of the big four, so was used to doing buyouts and buy-ins, and he found a number of companies for us to go and look at. Pressmark was one of them, and that was in 2012. And we were actually outbid by a management buyout team. So what
stood out for you in that particular business? Why? Because
it's a variety of presses, huge variety of presses.
So a lot of potential.
And one of the things that Les, who is my co-director, wanted to do was aftermarket panels, A-class panels for vehicles, and this ticked all the boxes. So that was where we decided to go.
Yeah.
But as I said, we were outbid.
Yeah.
We were outbid. So that didn't happen in 2012. But in 2015, I had a phone call from the two guys who worked in the business that had done a management buyout, saying, would you still be interested? So I phoned my two colleagues and said, is it something we're interested in, still doing? By that time, I'd retired. And they said, yeah, let's go and have a look. So I was getting bored. Too young to retire, really. So, yeah, we bought that business.
Yeah.
And, it was effectively going bust. So there's a lot of work needed to be done.
Yeah, but that's like, that was over 100 people, right? Work for the time, or how many people?
When we first bought it, I think it was 74 or 76, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was overmanned, and it was not in the greatest of positions.
But it wasn't about the machines. It was about the culture, wasn't it? When you first sort of stepped in there.
Culture and management. Yeah.
And management, yeah.
That's what needed a big change.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And, we turned it around relatively quickly. We acquired it in July. By Christmas, we were making a profit. And that was really, again, the guy I initially did the business plan at my previous business with, he joined, he was one of the shareholders in this business. So I knew we were going to do a solid business plan, which we did, but we did a very short-term one just to turn the company around. And that worked tremendously. Yeah. And the company survived and was starting to make a profit.
That was post-Brexit, wasn't it, as well? So a lot of different things that are not, you can't really predict how they're going to...
Yeah, I mean,
so you have to have different, in the business plan, you have different scenarios, perhaps?
In the business plan, because the first one was a very short-term business plan. It needed to be rapid change. It needed to be a turnaround. So there was a completely different focus to a long-term business plan. But once we got through that initial 6 months, we had another business plan and said, right, this is what we're going to do. And of course, you factor in things like Brexit, how that can change things. Nobody knows, but unless you've got something factored in to your business plan, a plan B, if you like, then you're never going to be able to adapt if you don't know what to do. You've got to have an option to go one way. If you can't go your planned way, if something stops you going your planned way, what else are you going to do? You have to think 2-3 steps ahead. What if?
Have you ever imagined a pandemic?
No. Never. I don't think anybody had, really.
In any business plan on the entire planet, do you think there was a pandemic scenario ever?
No, absolutely not, because it just rocked the world, didn't it? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And as a country, we had somebody at the top saying, actually, we can save business, we can put people on furlough, and we can support them. And I think without that support from government, you would have seen the vast majority of businesses fail because they didn't have necessarily the cash in the bank to support themselves. So it was huge. That's one thing that we didn't put a plan B in for.
Yes, well, you sort of did, because you have, obviously you said the business has been very automotive reliant for a long time. And you have found new markets and something that actually the business used to do. Historically, right? And you brought it back.
And it's...
that's white goods.
It was white goods. So... we'd always in the business plan decided that we were too reliant on some customers, so we had to go out and find something else to support that. If automotive was in a downturn, what could be in an upturn? So we did our own research and decided to go into white goods, which the company actually started off 51 years ago.
So there's already some residual knowledge.
But we weren't doing anything in that. In that sector. And throughout the pandemic, everybody was locked down. Everybody was at home, and
everybody wanted a washing machine.
Well, they had nothing else to spend the money on. They couldn't go on holiday. They couldn't go out for dinner.
Why not we upgrade all our
that's what they did. So that one business alone, that sector,
saved the company, didn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was, we were very fortunate that we'd expanded into that market.
Yeah,
we wanted to be in another sector. We didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, and that was a sector that was going to be, really good. But again, it's looking at your weaknesses in your business. So that still
guided you through that storm, even though you could not imagine a pandemic, obviously not. But it has given you a good perspective of what needs to be done.
Yeah, and that's what, to me, that's what a business plan's for.
Yeah,
it's what do you want to do? It'll never go to plan.
Not never go to plan. Never. Exactly, never.
So you
it's good to know, because I think some people are like, "Oh, I made this plan and then I can't execute it all because always something changes." But it's like a compass, right?
Yeah, it's always changing. It's developing with you. And to me, a business plan is really important. I think in probably 2002 or 2003. I met a lady who was head of quality from PACCAR Trucks in the US, and she sat down at our board table. I was sales director at the time, and she said, what plans have you got for the future? I said, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And she said to me, so you fly by the seat of your pants? And I said, yeah, we do. She said, I don't like companies that fly by the seat of their pants. I like somebody with a plan.
Yeah.
And that's really what so when I became managing director, that's what really started that. And I've never stepped away from that, because I think it's really important.
Just a way
it's clear. You've got clarity, and everybody around you has clarity, and if you can't be there for whatever reason, it will carry on without you.
Yeah.
And that's really important. You can't be the
I think
one
you've got
person.
this unique experience of actually when what you went through back in 2006.
Yeah, and I think giving people that level of autonomy gets the best from them as well. So you win all ways round. The burden's not just on your shoulders. But you're getting the best out of the people around you, and that's always going to drive the business forward, always.
And I have just a couple of more quick questions.
Okay.
First of all, future plans for Pressmark, because you must have a business plan, right? So what's the plan?
There's things that don't always go in the business plan because they scare people, but they're always in the back of the mind.
Yeah.
So more automation. Automation is key.
And getting people to buy into it as well, and upskilling, right?
Yeah, I think robotisation is really important for us. But if you tell people that's what's going to happen, they're going to work against you because they feel their jobs are going to go. So it's a step-by-step process. So our first process in that was automated machines, not robots, just automated machines, where you've still got somebody there. It's not 4 people at that press, it's 1 person. So you've reduced your head count, but they've got to be upskilled. They've got to learn how to program that.
Yeah.
They've got to learn how to set that. It becomes their job. So, those people can get paid a bit more money, and they like that. So they buy into that. So the next step will be automation in data collection, so that we can see what's going wrong and ask people, why is it going wrong? How do we improve it? You're at the coalface, you're doing this every day. Tell me how we can improve it, and let them run with the idea. So again, it's all an element of automation. I think the next stage of robots is, well, actually, they're not going to take our jobs because we're going to continue to grow. I'm going to have to learn how to operate that and how to program it and how it interfaces. That's going to be a better job for me. It's going to be more money for me. And that's what I want people to think, rather than
scared of the robot taking my job.
Absolutely.
Like Terminator almost.
Absolutely.
So the future's here.
Yeah, it's a case of breaking things down, a bit like I said in 2004 when I wanted to double the size of the business. How do you break that down? Break
it's
it down
all the steps, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if you've got your business plan, you break it down into those steps. Everybody knows what's going on. That's where we're
quickly, John. Source of inspiration for you?
So many.
So many.
No, seriously, there's some fantastic people out there with, they're all good in their own rights.
Who stands out to you the most? Biggest impact?
Biggest impact has got to be a chap that I worked for, who was production director when I worked on the shop floor. His name was Barry Vickery.
Guy from an immediate circle, not some long distance.
No,
real guy.
I do have a long distance person as well, but hands-on guy I work with, just taught me so much about handling people. He was brilliant at it. He could get anybody to do anything.
Naturally.
He wasn't an academic. Struggled to write.
But he was great character.
Absolutely brilliant. Very good engineer, and could get people to do things. And I learned from that. All the way through my career, you look at people who people admire, and you say, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn from that. And then you see people that go, well, I don't like him as a boss. You think, what did he do? I don't want to be like that either. And you just learning from different people. But he was a big inspiration for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Early on in your career? Early on?
Very early on, because when I started my apprenticeship, he was the guy I was working for. He got me running around the shop floor, running 3 machines at once.
Yeah.
Nobody else was doing it. But, he got me to do it. He was just brilliant at handling people, and I learned a lot from him.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story, John,
No problem.
all the stuff you've went through. It's very inspirational. I'm so grateful for you to share all these pivotal moments and the importance of having a business plan. It's so important, isn't it?
In my opinion, it is, yeah.
Yes, fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching this episode of the Finance Power podcast. Please check season 1 and 2 on our YouTube channel, and I hope to see you very soon. Thank you.